Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to A Soldier's Dialogue with Swami Chinmayananda. So, I'm not too sure about this one. I'm not sure what it's about, but a soldier's dialogue, I suppose. So anyways, let's give this a shot. It's easy song.
Rishis of India were not merely a blind and utopian thinkers with no practical application in the way of life of the people. Their intention was not merely to speculate upon the reality of the world, reality behind the world, but their idea was, how can we train the humanity to live cohesively in society, each one doing his job as best as he can and enrich the community? Therefore, they evolved a philosophy of living. And it is even today the most satisfactory blueprint of a successful man's life. Why man's life? Even the community and society and the world. He insisted that in this blueprint, a child from the childhood onward is education. Give him a training to respect and revere certain essential values of this self-discipline. They are called dharma. These values were insisted upon and made it a part and parcel of the educated children, and based upon these values, without any compromise to these values, let them go out in the world, work hard, earn honestly, save if they want to save, or spend as they want. Artha, wealth must be created only when the mind is well disciplined in dharma. Even in the army, you don't give your guns to people, youngsters with broad shoulders, no doubt, but you don't give them the gun unless you're disciplining them properly. Disciplined people alone can really be the strength of an army. This personal discipline is very important. Okay? In the same way here, first discipline the mind, inculcate these great values of life to them, and then let them out in the society. Let them honestly sweat and toil and create wealth for the society as well as for themselves. And with that wealth, so honestly made, let them fulfill their desires. Rishis were not impractical people. He did not say that everybody must give up all their desires. On the other hand, he said, dharma, artha, wealth, and with that wealth, fulfill your desires. Dharma, artha, kama. Marry, beget children, have a building, etc. Whatever that you want, your desires you fulfill with the wealth you have earned through the right values of life. When an individual has thus lived in self-discipline, served the society, earned the money, served the society, and lived, it is to such an individual that the right to withdraw from life's activities and strive in contemplation, meditation for higher spiritual path, moksha. Thus, dharma, kama, moksha was that blueprint that has been given by these great rishis for a human being to live a full life. All these, dharma itself is gone out now from this society. That concept of higher values have gone. From the Second World War onwards, values have been crumbled down. You do anything that you like in order to fulfill what your plans are. Hitler brought about. We can't say that Stalin did not help it. Mao certainly supported it. Today we are in a world where there is no moral self-control in the individual, and hence you find all these bleeding points in the world, whether it is in Iraq, or in the Middle East that we are seeing now, or the Lebanon, Iraq and Iran war. All these things are slightly sprung out because that value system is gone.
Well, I wonder if I could say that it's not necessarily the value system is gone, it's that they have their own value system, which says that they have the right value system and no one else, and everyone else is wrong. But yes, I mean, you could say definitely in the West. I mean, it seems like, is it every generation that says this, that the world's just getting chromier and chromier? And it's really amazing that we live in such a very comfortable time, and yet we get worse. It's really weird. It's like when we have so much peace in the world, peace relatively speaking, technology, comfort in the world, yet, like Sadhguru, I remember him talking about, like Sadhguru talking about how we have all these nice things, and yet we seem to be in a decline in terms of mental health and just, I don't know what this encompassing thing that I'm trying to say. I guess mental health and good things in the world, I suppose. We're all selfish. Well, not all selfish, but there's a lot of people becoming more selfish, self-egotistical, self-indulged, that they only think of themselves, praise only themselves, and see only themselves. That seems to be growing with social media.
Now, when we say values, no doubt they had enumerated certain things as higher values and certain things as dangerous to the social happiness of humanity when they are living together as a community. In all of them, those values, the idea propounded or the idea behind it is, whatever that you and I do in the world, when the action is springing from your own selfish desires, that action is amoral and very often immoral. But the very same action, undertaken with no selfishness at all, for the benefit of others, that very same physical action becomes a moral and ethical action. Actions by themselves is neither good or bad. But if out of my lust I kill some girl in the roadside, it becomes murder. But a doctor in the operation theatre, using the knife upon a girl to cure her, and if she collapses, the doctor is not called as a murderer. Action is the same.
The intent is different, though. I don't think you're on the side of the road trying to save her by stabbing her. I wonder if he'll say that next. But there was something he said that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, it was the fact that actions in itself is not good nor bad. And this is something that I've repeated in this channel. Tools are neither good nor bad. It's all on how you use them. They can be good, they can be bad. And I guess that's the big thing, one of the big things, three big things now, which I have to remember the first two again. But the third big thing is the fact that the actions, tools, I'll call about everything a tool. Your thoughts are tools. They can be used for good, they can be used for bad. Your words are tools. They can be used for good, they can be used for bad. But yes.
Under my knife also a girl died on the road. Under his knife the girl died in the operation theatre. Yet the doctors have not hung. I deserve to be hung because I've done something wrong. Now, action, external action remaining the same. One is a noble act, other is an ignobly immoral act because of the motive behind. So too, you soldiers, what are you doing there? In the front, you are seeing your enemy coming and you are shooting. Shooting not to frighten them, shoot to kill. But are you all murderers? But if I do with the gun, my neighbor, I shoot him down, I am a murderer. Why, I am murdering him. What is my motive? Because he is always looking at my wife, therefore I don't like him. My lust, my selfishness, my attachment. When does my selfishness, when I act, the action becomes of low value, and the higher values are, to the extent I can, surrender my little ego for the benefit or for the love of other members of the community. So then this essential discipline is to learn to work, sinking your ego and acting in the world outside. Now it is said so, it is not easy. This can never be a practical method because without ego and selfishness, man cannot function. Whatever you do in life, all actions are oriented with the idea of I plus I want. If these two motivations are removed, man cannot function. As in deep sleep, you cannot function because there is neither I nor I want attitude.
Okay.
Without these two, action is not possible. Therefore, all the Western philosophers, nay, even modern thinkers, think that this, what is called as selfless action, is an impossible utopian theory. It is only at best a mere speculation. It is not a way of life. We sympathize for all those who are criticized. Inspired action springs forth where ego and selfishness are not there. That is when we are surrendering our ego at the altar of an ideal. Carefully. In the altar of love alone, you can rise above these debilitating, dangerous impulses within us, the ego and selfish desires. The man who is a hero in the war is a moment when he was inspired by his own love for the country and he doesn't understand where is the danger. that I may be killed or I may die, that selfishness is gone. There springs forth from him, unknown to himself, such a great, courageous, heroic act. He himself is surprised at what happens at that time. Love of science, love of art, love of literature. Leela Majnu, various examples. Maybe the love between the two persons, love for the country, love for the community, love for certain ideals. It is there that we act without ego and selfish desires. When these two are not there, your instrument, the body itself, is made use of by some universal power for the benefit of all. This is the main theme in the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Karma Yoga. How to act in the world outside. Not what you act. Your profession needs your professional training. But when all this is done, it is you who have to function in the world. How am I to act? The art of action is propounded as in no other textbook in the world as in the Bhagavad Gita, especially in the 3rd chapter of the Gita. The modern man, I have tried it very many places around the world, the moment you start talking of moral and ethical values, their nose becomes smaller, lips come down. There's a funny animalistic pig-like look on the human body. They say, oh, who cares for it? This idea is only because the moralists of the last 200 years have been approaching the public wrong. They made it as a mere insistence. They made it as thou shalt and thou shalt not. That is not the way to convince an intelligent human being. Even if you're a child, you tell the child, don't do it. The child will try to do it when you are not. Because a child, a human being, is very intelligent. When you say don't, his intellect asks the question, why not? This is natural. In schools and colleges, you say that don't. In the lawns, right there about, don't walk on the lawns. Within 3 days, you will find a footpath there. When you give an order, and all army people know it, the orders must be positive, not negative language. Don't tell, don't do it. Tell them what to do. Please walk on the cemented walkway. They will walk. But if you say, don't walk on the grass, everybody will start walking. Now the moralists have been going on. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And everybody thinks, why not? Now, every action that you are doing is activities prompted by your mind. Mind is the doer and not the body. Body is only a toolkit. Activities are undertaken, planned and thought of and decided upon by the mind, and then the hands and legs and other equipments function to express it, to execute your plans, your ideas. Mind is the decisive power or the doing. Mind is the instrument, the doer in every one of us. especially in the army. Because there is no time for you to think, to discuss, or to have a committee meeting. You have to take decisions on the spot. So you need an alert, vigilant mind at all times. If the mind is already exhausted and fatigued with its overindulgence in the outer world, that mind has not got the grip to come to a decision and act upon what you should do according to the circumstances available for you. So the wealth, the true wealth of a man is his mental vitality. And this is called in Hinduism as Lakshmi. Lakshmi is not cash. It's not money outside. It's only man understands it because that is the only thing he understands in the world. Real Lakshmi is the inner wealth, inner dynamism of the mind. If this is not there, that individual may be anatomically a human. You may give him your uniform, you may give him a gun, but the gun will be very easily available for your enemy to take and use it against you. Meet the challenge is necessary. There is a right way of meeting the challenges in the day-to-day life and a wrong way. The right way of contacting the outer world of challenges, of situations, even crises, is a method by which, with the minimal mental exhaustion, you do the job most spectacular. These are the higher values. I'll just give you one example. If I love the world, and I got a lot of love to give to the world, my disturbances in the mind is the mood. But I am angry with the world, disgusted with the world, all negative thoughts. I hate everybody. The government I hate, the people I hate, my boss I hate everybody. The poor man's mind is never at rest. It is always in agitation.
Yeah, I was wondering what he was going with that one. It's like I guess when there's little conflict, little things you hate. Obviously hate, there's conflict. Love, there's no resistance to it. It's all easy, flowing with the motion kind of deal. What kind of phrase is that? Everything's going with the flow and you're just kind of like laying down like in a pool or something, just like kind of chilling, going with the flow. But when all of a sudden this pool just starts getting agitated and water splashing everywhere, you're like struggling to hold on. I guess that's the kind of like formulation of hate he's talking about in the world. So that's what I understood from that. And I guess that does make sense, you know, if you don't have a lot of hate in the world, you tend to be happier. And that makes sense. There's less agitation. You're not always things like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I hate my boss, I hate my job, I hate my life, or whatever. You're just like, everything's going nice. Which is what I tend to try to be in that mood. And for the most part I am, I will say. I haven't paused very much just because I had nothing really to say for the most part. It's kind of weird. It's like cutting a lot. I don't know if we're missing some bits or not, but I'm wondering if it's just the technology at the time. It's really cool that they have recordings of the past and just to see, especially the black and white ones I've seen on YouTube sometime.
And such an individual has no reserve energy of mind.
Exhausted.
Okay? This goes on. It's the natural everywhere. So we say hatredness is a negative value, while love is a greater value. Here are some specific questions asked by the army.
Oh, here we go.
Officers, because of their immediate application. They are very good ones. One of the question is, what qualities and values are desired of a military leader? Whether it is a military leader or a leader in any other profession, the
Competence at the
moral
very least.
values that are necessary are fundamental. There is no change. It is the very heart of human endeavor. Whatever be your profession, or whatever be the field of your activity, the heart defines. And another one was, will the traditional moral values be relevant to today's environment?
I think so.
The traditional values and today's environment, one and the same. The environment cannot change the moral values.
Oops. It's obvious that it depends on what is the moral value. We all have an idea what moral value is. But I guess that's the kind of the issue. Like I guess you look at any religion. Religions have their moral values. You look at certain societies and cultures. They each have their own moral values. So you kind of have to define what a moral value is. There could be a universal moral value, which is like the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, do no harm, are kind of certain moral values that you can have. But not everyone has the same moral value. So, but I understand he's talking about good moral values: do no harm, love one another, do good for the world, kind of moral values, and those are universal, but also what did I say? Timeless. Time. Does it conform the time? Timeless. Yes. No matter what age, what time of day. No matter what time it is, it's always that time.
Your behavior can change. Your external behavior can change. But the values of the mind will be the same.
Dharma.
It cannot change. In the modern times, can we take potassium cyanide? You cannot. It is a poison then and it is a poison today. How can you change them? They are all fundamentals. The same value, love. You can't change it. Today, love is not that way as before. No. Your behavior may change, external behavior. Your expressions may change, but the values in you never changes. They are all eternal. The another question that I have been asked is, on the point of end justify the means. This is the attitude of many of the modern men.
I will say that is a very interesting question. Does the end justify the means? I guess that goes along the lines of, if by, say, example, by doing, how do I put it without being so bad? Well, I guess by hurting some people, but in the end it saves, by hurting some people and ends up saving many more millions of people, does that justify it? And I thought about this some time, and I would say yes and no. Do we want to go all natural, as in we cause no? I mean, that kind of defeats my rule, I guess. First, cause no harm, obviously. But if it saves billions of people, you know, like especially if by, say, 100 people have to be, and that means the entire human population is saved, do you do that? I've heard arguments for both sides, and I'm not sure. I guess what you'd have to do is you have to ask for volunteers. Is the only way to do it. Are there going to be 100 people who would do it? Then it's kind of easy. But what happens if no one volunteers. What do? Do you just let the human race die? That's the natural way. Or do you force 100 people? For the end justifies the means. Those 100 had to, therefore the rest of us could survive. The end justifies the means. When I think of things in extremes, just to see where my views lead more towards. What do you think? And let me know in the comments below before he answers the question. Does the end justify the means? Let me know. Don't cheat. Don't watch forward. If you already watched this, good. But does the end justify the means? I'm playing it now.
And from that standpoint, they see that those who are unethical, immoral, corrupt, they seem to be prospering. While the honest, the noble, seem to be suffering. Now the joy and suffering are subjective. Nobody else can say that Mr. A is suffering or B is enjoying. You have to learn to live that life, then only you will understand the joys. People at home may think that you are suffering in the army, in the war front. Only when you are there, a true soldier, you understand the joys. Ordinarily, the rich man thinks that the poor man in the slum area is very unhappy, and every slum dweller thinks that the rich man is very happy. To be a rich man to know his sorrows, you have to be a slum dweller to know the peals of thunderous laughter that comes in the evening from these hutmen, because he has done his job and he got his pay and his children and wife around him and he is happy. Careless of tomorrow, he lives happily. So who is happiness or unhappiness? Mahatma Gandhi in the jail. Will not his grandmother worry that my grandson is in the jail? Oh, he is suffering. But being Mahatma Gandhi, then you will understand that he is so happy there because he's a part of his service to the country. So what is that you want? If only accumulation of wealth and properties that you want, go, loot, plunder, kill, burn down and get it. But if what you want is a peaceful, quiet mind, which you can apply for your creative purposes, certainly a moral and ethical standard is to be maintained. Continuing upon this point, I am asked about the philosophy of end justifies the means. Everybody talks about it. So that whatever be the end, according to the end, the means can be good or bad in order to achieve the end. It is true. But don't forget that the end is only the sum total of the means. The means are the effects. Means are the causes by which the end, the effect is reached. So whatever be the means when you say, if immoral and vulgar means are followed, maybe temporarily you can see that there is a lot of wealth gone. But the moment it is discovered or you are punished for it, that very same end becomes very sorrowful. But if the means are good, the end also is good. The joy or the achievement or the success, the victory also is firm. But if unfair means you are reaching your goal, the goal itself is the product of these unfair means. So it is negative. It can never be permanent. It can never bring about a salutary effect upon a country or a community or any individual's life.
And Swamiji,
Real quick before it moves on to that next one, or actually I'm going to pause right here and save the rest for the other one. But still, I understood. I think for the most part what he answered in terms of the end justify the means. But this is what I'm saying. Where yeah, of course, if we do some good means and the end comes out good, that's great. If we do bad means and the end comes out good for individuals, it cannot last that long. But what about if, say, the half of the human well, let's say 10% of the human population has to go extinct for the rest of the 90% to survive? That's a bad thing and a good thing. I mean, and this is the stuff I think of. It's like the difficult questions, kinda. And it's very, because again, I try to follow the like first cost no harm. And just imagine if those 10% no one volunteers. You ask for volunteers. Of course, if people volunteer, it's like, you know what, I'll do it for the greater good, or the end justifies the means. Then yeah, no problem. We're grateful for them. We can enshrine them and remember their names for them, you know, going extinct for the human population. But if no one does, then what do you do? And that, I mean, you can. I've kind of gone both arguments. So again, the all natural, we just go extinct. No one's forced to do anything, and we just go extinct at that point. But there goes no force. Or do we go by force and ensure our survival? Which goes against no force. Something that I try to follow. But I'm wondering if I should be practical, as in obviously you do no force. But then I don't like kind of exceptions to the rule because, oh, end of video, me talking. I don't like exceptions to the rules because then people say, oh, well, we can add this exception, we can add that exception, and let's just go add this exception, you know? Oh, we need 50 more exceptions, let's, 50 more, 100 more, 200 more. And it's just, what's the point of the rule at that point? We have to try to make rules that are very few exceptions to it. That way it doesn't just become a useless rule. So I do believe in exceptions, but I have to be heavily restricted on those. So would this be one of them? I don't know. We can say yeah, sure, and make it an easier answer, and then we can still say I still abide by my no harm rule or no force rule. But let's say no exceptions to this rule. There's no in between. You force someone to do it or you don't, and let the human race extinct. Let me know in the comments below. Because I see both ways. I just don't know how to answer it. I have not heard a good answer yet. So if you don't have a good answer, say, I've thought about this, and you don't have a good answer, let me know that you've thought about it and you don't have a good answer. Or you could say, I never thought about it, but at the moment I have no good answer. As long as you thought about it for a little while, come back and say, yeah, I've thought about it for a little bit, still no good answer. Or can you justify one answer over another and let me know? And you have thought about this. I'm just curious. There's no wrong answer, of course, because hopefully the situation will never happen. But it's not about just, okay, yeah, we'll just let the 10% go extinct and we all survive. That's great. No, give a good argument for it. I'm just kind of curious, because I can't think of one. Hopefully we'll never ever be in that situation, and this is just a thought experiment. Anyways, that's so far the reaction of A Soldier's Dialogue with Swami Chinmayananda. Can't wait till he answers more. I wonder, hopefully the rest of the video will be of the questions. So if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.